And just where have you been?
I was out.
Uh-huh. And where was out? You know you're not supposed to leave here.
Listen, you're not the boss of me. I can go wherever I want.
Matt, something smells like... Hey, you were on another podcast.
So? I was invited as a special guest to go on the Nintendo Powercast podcast. They're fans of us, and they wanted me on there.
My point is that just because the Nintendo Powercast podcast are fans of ours, and we're fans of theirs, and you and I like those guys a whole lot, doesn't mean that I'm going to tolerate you abandoning us, coming back like nothing happened, and now this. You're playing with my heart, Matt. You're playing with my heart. I thought you loved us. Loved me.
Oh, Dan, don't be like that. Of course I do. You know that I love you guys. But you realize that this isn't the first time I've been on another podcast. Like, I've been on the Xbox One Party Chat podcast a few times. Like, even well before Hello Nintendo was even thought of. You know my true love is Hello Nintendo.
I don't know if I can tolerate your podcastery. I mean, polycastery. I'm gonna have to think about this. I'll see you in the episode.
Dan! Dan, come on, don't be like that. Dan, come back! I guess I've got some butts to kiss now. Today on Hello Nintendo, we're going to be discussing that crazy Nintendo Direct from last week and the issues surrounding the Nintendo Switch cartridges not being big enough. Hello everyone, I'm your host Matt, aka TrainS, and joining me today again is Dan, aka Embassy Nerdcore.
Shut up.
Are you still angry about that other podcast thing?
I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah. Okay, I think we're going to have to go to couples counseling. And we've also got with us Brooks, aka the Poochie Kid.
Hey.
So thanks for joining me, guys.
Glad to be here.
Thanks for joining me, guys. Okay,
I think you need to get over this whole thing. Like, you know, I'm going to be asked to be on other podcasts. It's
not after that.
Yeah. So I think we're going to start off with a little bit of what we've been playing since our last episode. So Dan, what have you been playing since our last episode?
Well, there's one major thing I've been playing that I'll get to later, but I've been playing the Octopath Traveler demo.
How's that?
It's awesome, but like I said, I'll get to it later. I've also been talking to my wife about playing more League of Legends, and so we've been playing some practice games in League of Legends a lot lately. And I'm still playing through Zelda because while I had it and beat it on Wii U, I got it again when I got my Switch. So I'm going through again.
I'm embarrassed to say that. So we're coming up close to the 1 year anniversary. Are we coming up close to the 1 year anniversary of the Switch?
No.
Or was it in spring?
No.
That's what's incredible about it all.
It feels like it.
The 6-month anniversary.
Oh, okay. It honestly feels like it's been out for
feels like
longer.
Literally twice the time because there's twice as many games out for it than there was for the Wii U in its first year.
Yeah. So all of you guys have finished Breath of the Wild, and I'm only maybe just over halfway done.
That's it. You can be done anytime you want to. Like once you beat Ganon, you're done. But
that's
I think
true.
The way that game is meant to be played is like you kind of delay your own gratification and push off Ganon as far as you feel like you're comfortable, and then whenever you feel all right, time to move on from this game, you like hit Ganon as the closing of the book. You know, you don't have to.
Yeah, that's true.
You don't have to feel like it's a letdown. It's like the experience is the experience, and when you're done, you just kill Ganon, put the book away, pull it out from the shelf next year or something.
Good point. Yeah, that's true. Good point. So, Brooks, what about you? What have you been playing the last couple of weeks?
Well, I've been playing a lot of Sonic Mania, and might be surprised to hear that if you've listened to some of my Sonic rants on previous episodes, but I am a really big fan of classic Sonic, and Mania is really great. It's like, it's everything good about classic Sonic, and it's the best Sonic game since Sonic 3.
I've heard that from a bunch of people already.
Yeah, I mean, the only real big complaints I can have about it is that, well, one, they brought back Sonic 1 crushing physics, where if Sonic's even 1 pixel, like in Sonic 1, if even like 1 pixel of Sonic was crushed between 2 places, he died, while if less than half of his body was inside in Sonic 2 and 3, he was pushed through.
That could get really annoying.
Yeah, Sonic Mania opts to go with the Sonic 1 route, so there's a number of times when there are some unfair deaths, which is unfortunate, but they don't detract from the experience too much. I mean, it's definitely made, as the marketing put it, by the Mania for the Mania.
Nice. I've been playing still some more Cave Story and Overwatch is pretty much what I've been playing.
I've seen you play Overwatch a lot on my my feed when you pop up.
Yes. Okay, so I've been playing a lot of Overwatch.
A noticeable amount.
Yeah, my kids like watching me play, especially I tend to main Mercy, and so my kids like watching me play the pretty nurse, or the pretty doctor, as they call it. And yeah, people are ungrateful. They're ungrateful jerks. You res a team, you spend all your time healing them, but I'm not going to get into that.
As a former WoW healer, I feel your pain, and shout out to healers in all forms of gaming and entertainment. 'Cause
the unsung heroes.
Yeah.
I think it'd be pretty awesome if we got an Overwatch game, if there was even a sequel.
Are we
Overwatch
already
2 on the
begging for
Switch.
more after what we just got? Can we get to some news? Because we got some news.
Nintendo fans are insatiable.
No
They're
time to
always wanting
complain
more.
about what we didn't get. Look at all the stuff we got.
Yeah, I mean...
Yes. Yeah, we've got a
this
big...
direct.
Yeah. It was pretty big. It was like E3 Mark II, I'd say.
Maybe not quite that big, but yeah.
I don't know. Some of these announcements felt like it. These are some pretty big. These are some pretty big ones. Yeah, let's dive right into this.
All right, time to speed run through some headlines.
Starting with the 3DS, just like in the Direct, we started with Pokemon Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, and they showed off the 2 new Ultra Beasts, UB Boost and Assembly. There's a bit of a new story, new areas like Pikachu Valley. That comes out November 17th. What do you guys think? Have you already played Sun and Moon? And would these new versions encourage you to maybe change your mind if you haven't already bought the game?
Well, I played through Sun Moon. It was a pretty fun experience. I love mainline Pokemon games, and no matter what, I'm going to buy these anyway. Glad to see that there's quite a few new things within the game that you didn't really know about when they were first announced.
I'm kind of an odd Pokemon fan in that I'm kind of tired of the handheld games, but I'm a fan of the series, if that makes sense. The last Pokemon game I played was Pokemon... I think I played Pokemon X. I don't even know how far I got into it. I don't think I got too far into it before I was like, alright, same old thing. I mean, the 3D in the battles was kind of cool, but I kind of stopped playing it, but I'll probably play it when it comes out on Switch.
I feel like Pokemon is kind of like the Muppets, where you like the characters, you get along with them when you're, you put yourself in the world when you're watching Pokemon or playing Pokemon. You're like, hey, I'm a Pokemon trainer, and you go and catch your Pokemon, you name them, you get all these personal connections, and the game plays off that. And the Muppets do that. You like those guys. You like Kermit, you like Miss Piggy, Animal. Everyone's got favorites, but you don't necessarily want to be playing a JRPG about the Muppets.
Yeah, that's a pretty good
The
explanation.
Pokemon world is awesome, and the people that grew up with the series are like, while that handheld series is evolving, it's still stuck in its, hey, this could be every child's first video game ever roots. So we start here, and here's an hour tutorial, and here's,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Pokemon's great the first, 4 or 5 times through, and then, now we're on
Gen 7.
almost 20 years after the first one.
Back in my day, there were 151 Pokemon, and that's what we liked.
No, I don't want to get all off my lawn about it, but it's I agree with you, Matt, when you said you're excited for it to show up on Switch, because for a lot of people, even though the handheld games are real full games, just putting them on your TV is going to make them feel more like an experience, especially since we know they're going to have the best graphics of any Pokemon game ever in history. So
And that's why
that's also why I'm looking forward to Odyssey too, because it's the best looking Mario ever.
That's why I like playing the Pokemon games on the GameCube. As much as people hate those two games, I enjoy them. So,
But
well, let's
just want to get back on Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon for a minute. I think people aren't stressing the importance of having UV Boost and UV Assemble enough, because Ultra Beasts are those are 2 brand new Pokemon in a generation. We've never seen that before in this series, where Pokemon are introduced mid-generation. They can introduce forms of the Pokemon, but we've never seen. These are brand new. They'll take up space in Pokédex, and I feel like that could mean that there's more brand new Pokemon that haven't been revealed yet for the game.
That's very possible. I guess we'll see some more come mid-November.
And, of course, more through Koro magazine and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Moving on to the rest of what happened. Obviously, we're talking about the Nintendo Direct, and we're talking about the just 45 minutes of straight announcement after announcement. Here's a game, here's a game, here's a game. Most of those games we knew about from E3, or we knew from even as far back as the original Switch reveal. Some of them surprised us, and that'll be one of the things we talk about today.
Next on the list was some Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga plus Bowser's Minions. So it's going to have some amiibo support. You can use it to gain stamps and special gear. And looks like it's dropping October 6th alongside a couple new amiibos, a Koopa and Goomba amiibo. So you guys going to pick up this one?
Yes. I am a huge fan of the Mario RPG series, and pretty excited to be able to play a remake of one of them, and it looks really good.
I might pick this up for my for my oldest, because I think she just started school, and so I think an RPG like this would be good to help her with learning how to read better.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that's I'm going to do that. I mean, my wife kind of, when her and her sister were learning how to read, she remembers her mom playing the old school Final Fantasy games and making them read all the text. So I think it's a good way to do it.
I did the same thing with my stepson with Captain Toad.
Oh, nice.
He's getting there.
Just takes practice. The Brooks, what is next on our list?
So we finally found out what that 3DS Kirby game is. It's Kirby Battle Royale, a 3D fighting game for the 3DS. It's dropping in January next year, but it's a 3D fighting game. You can play as various different copy abilities of Kirby, and there's single player, local multiplayer, and online multiplayer for a good amount of variety. And plus, you can vote on your favorite copy abilities in an online poll to vote to put them into the game.
Well, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
What's your favorite copy ability?
Ooh, man, putting me on the spot. Probably have to say Beetle. Though, fortunately, that's already in the game.
I like turning into the tire, because then you can just zoom right.
Yes.
You can zoom through a level, and you just destroy everything in your path. So that's what I like.
My favorite ability is from Kirby 64, the Darth Maul double-sided lightsaber. I loved that thing so much.
So, Dan, what's next on our list?
Next up, they showed off Minecraft for new Nintendo 3DS, and this was one of the minor surprises of the Direct, which was the fact that no one really knew that they were working on Minecraft for the new 3DS. We just assumed that the 3DS couldn't run it, and that was that, but I guess the new one can. And so, of course, if you can run Minecraft, you get Minecraft.
Everything runs Minecraft, though.
Oh, it's not going to get the Better Together update, which was the big one showed off at E3. So that makes the 3DS and the PS4 that are not getting it, and then everything else is.
I was really surprised by this, actually.
Would you play Minecraft on new 3DS? Do you have a new 3DS?
Probably 5 years ago. But today, going to get the Switch version.
You got to understand, because we know the 3DS is marketed at kids primarily.
Yeah.
And Minecraft just hits them. So like you give a kid any device, a 3DS or whatever, with Minecraft pre-installed, and it's like magic. They already know how to play. Doesn't matter control. They'll figure the controls out in like 2 seconds.
It'll be pretty popular, I bet. Just like literally every version of Minecraft ever.
Moving on, and another big surprise was a Mario Party compilation called the Top 100. Mario Party is going to feature the 100 best mini games in the main series, according to Nintendo's professional mini game curators, who are top notch in the business. They know what's best, and they're like the Gordon Ramsay of mini games. They're gonna,
yes,
if you serve it raw, he's gonna kick you out. So the best of the best mini games, and there's gonna be some kind of board game play. There looks like they're focusing more on the mini games than the board game, so it might be a more like minimal board game selection, but we don't know much about that yet. But it's got download play. Obviously, it's for 3DS, so one copy up to 4 players. And it comes out November 10th before Christmas. So another great kids game. Between this and Minecraft, every kid with parents on a budget is going to have a happy kid.
I was actually kind of surprised that they're releasing this on the 3DS. Mario Party seems more like a game you would play in your living room with your friends, in front of one screen, as opposed to on a handheld. So... But this one actually really kind of surprised me. More so than the Minecraft.
I mean, if this is the sixth handheld Mario Party game, then it must do pretty well.
Oh, is it really? Well, you can tell that's how much I pay attention to.
They're not going to be able to resist making Mario Party a big deal when it gets revealed for Switch in a year or 2 or 3, and that's going to be a whole thing. You wouldn't want this to necessarily be the big flagship Mario Party game on Switch, because it does look like a 3DS game, and that's the direction they chose to go a long time ago.
Yeah, I guess. But
yeah.
I'm sure there's going to be a Mario Party 11 in 2018, 2019, something like that.
All these games that people are wishing for, the Animal Crossings of the world, and even the Metroid, up until we found out it was coming.
Smash Bros.
Well, everyone knows the list almost by heart now at this point. If you're on the subreddit enough, you know the list: Earthbound, Mother 3, Star Fox,
F-Zero.
Yeah.
So they're all coming. I mean, the Switch is at this point a massive success, and they're going to keep that momentum going with every franchise they've got. It just can't all come out in the first year, and they chose specific games for specific reasons. This compilation of Mario Party might be like the end of an era for Mario Party, and the 3DS is in essence an end of an era for consoles as well, because handhelds are never going to be the same again. Switch has changed the game, and it's gaming tablets from here on out.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a last hurrah for Mario Party. Could be pretty cool. Another big last hurrah for the 3DS, a big pack of JRPGs that a lot of people have been waiting a long time for. Now we're getting a 2018 release for Etrian Odyssey, Shin Megami Tensei, Radiant Historia, and I think there was another one that Alice showed off. But
yeah, there was one more, but
the other one that's not in a big franchise.
Yeah, I think it was a new IP.
I wish everything coming out on 3DS was coming out on Switch, but obviously Nintendo knows that's the plan going forward.
So moving on to the Nintendo Switch releases, there was some more information released about Xenoblade Chronicles 2. We had an 8-minute long overview trailer. You get to explore
800-minute long.
yeah.
It felt like that.
You get to explore some different factions and world in game. There's a deep combat system as well. You get to go through the legs and bodies of each Titan, which contains different environments. The combat is very similar to the original Xenoblade Chronicles. There's also a special edition and a special Pro Controller release alongside the game, which is dropping December 1st.
December 1st.
December 1st.
I think like 2 moderators on our team made a bet that it wouldn't come out in 2017.
I've never understood I understand the skepticism and why people would think it was going to be delayed. But I think everyone was kind of just pushing off to the side that they did all this work on the game engine for the first game. That's why it took so long. And they were doing Breath of the Wild at the same time. They've learned so much from doing those games that reusing the same engine to make a new game with different story and characters and worlds is like more of a snap than building the engine from scratch was and getting used to HD gaming was.
Right.
So
yeah,
I'm not surprised it's out that quick, and it's awesome because if it's an 800-minute long trailer, you know the game is going to last you a long time, and it's going to be one of these big, huge experiences. I think people are feeling like maybe this game is not as big in scope as Chronicles X was, but it really is. It's a big world.
Yeah.
A bunch of big worlds.
Yeah, I mean, I think this actually convinced me to get the game. And I haven't even played either of the other 2 games in the series.
I played Chronicles X on the Wii U, and I was enjoying it, and then I stopped playing for a while, and then I went back to play, and all of a sudden I was had to build my party, and it just was very confusing, and so I actually haven't touched XCX in forever, so we'll see. You think you're going to grab it?
Yeah, definitely. Mainly because this Octopath Traveler demo has awakened a yearning for a JRPG again, and since Octopath's not out yet, and Xenoblade will be, Xenoblade will reap the benefits of whetting my appetite. But it's, like you said, it's probably going to be a complicated game. And so if it doesn't keep your attention through the 60 to 100 to 200 hours that people are going to spend in it, hopefully it's going to be a fun ride for a long while.
Yep.
Because it's the biggest, meatiest game from Nintendo since Breath of the Wild. Give or take an Odyssey here or there.
Yeah, that's true, yeah. So up next we've got some Splatoon 2 news. The Kelp Dome returns to the game. There's also a new stage, which is the Snapper Canal, and Tentabrella. Brella's weapon opens a giant umbrella that can actually protect your allies from the opposing team's ink. Was there a release date for this? I don't remember seeing one.
Kelp Dome came out, well, for me it was yesterday, but I guess for you it's still today.
For another 4 minutes.
Yeah.
For me, it's
time zones. They're talking about time zones. For those people not in the loop, they're talking about time zones.
Yeah.
And the Tentabrella got a release, though. But Kelp Dome was one of my favorite stages in the first game, so I'm really glad to see that that's back in.
This will be my first time around playing it. So.
Really?
Because I didn't really play the first Splatoon much, because the whole gamepad, forced to use the gamepad thing. So
yeah.
This will be good. This will be fun. I need to dive back into Splatoon. I definitely need to. So maybe after this weekend.
I think we're all feeling an overload of games. You know that unless you're a Steam PC user, we're not used to as Nintendo fans. We're just like, there's so much out. There's so much we're playing. We're still playing stuff. We have like real. real lives to balance, and I have 4 or 5 games that I wish I could be playing right now.
Oh, and then if you've got multiple consoles, everybody's got some big releases, so it's just...
Yeah, well, I only had a Wii U and 3DS last generation, so the flood of content now is just kinda crazy to keep up with, and especially, I mean, even the new structure of Direct with the headlines is kind of necessary because they have so many games coming out.
Let's get right to them.
Yeah.
Fire Emblem Warriors. Fire Emblem Warriors revealed a couple new playable characters, Kaeda and Lyn. They look cool. The game still looks cool. It still looks exactly the same as Hyrule Warriors. So I'll probably like it. I don't know, I never ended up beating Hyrule Warriors. That's one of the games on my ever-expanding backlog. But if it's like that, I might pick it up later on down the road. At this point, it's getting crowded out by other things.
Yeah.
But it's on 3DS as well. Haha.
Yeah, they actually revealed a bit of the new 3DS footage in the Direct, and it does not look good.
Well, I mean, for a 3DS game.
Well, for a 3DS game it looks good, but that's not saying much.
It's probably still early footage. You know, like, I saw on the subreddit that comparison picture of what the Mario Odyssey trailer looked like from when they first showed it off to when they just recently showed it off. And clearly, every time you see the game, it's going to look a little better and better and better.
Yeah.
And graphics are one of the last things they polish after they've got the actual, game done.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
I'd say that, but the game comes out in Japan in 12 days.
Well, I guess we're going to have a day one patch, aren't we?
Yeah.
On the 3DS of all things.
Yeah, probably not.
I don't know. Speaking of extra content, DLC, and downloaded stuff, Snipper Clips is getting a sequel, sort of. Snipper Clips Plus is basically just extra content for the original Snipper Clips, but if you haven't bought Snipper Clips, it's the whole package is going to be available for sale either way. You can buy original Snipper Clips and then get the rest as DLC, or you can just buy Snipper Clips Plus and experience that. 30 levels, 3 worlds, and different kinds of starting shapes. That's going to come out November 10th. And I had a lot of fun with Snipper Clips, so I'm probably going to pick this up. What about you guys?
I skipped Snipper Clips.
I think the DLC is supposedly $10, I've heard. That might be wrong, but that sounds like a pretty decent price, and sounds like there's a lot of content in it, so I'll probably get it.
Snipper Clips, I think, one of the concepts of Snipper Clips is that you have to cut your characters out into a shape to fill, fill a hole. And Snipper Clips as a franchise fills a hole in my heart that has been empty after Scribblenauts. Scribblenauts was so cool, and I had so much fun with it. But then the sequels kind of just like slowly chipped away at my love for it until I didn't even buy them anymore. But now Snipper Clips is like that same feeling of family-friendly, crafty fun.
So moving on, we've got Morphy's Law, which is a team-based shooter, and shooting your opponents increases your size, and being shot obviously would shrink your character size, and you would use your size. So using your size to change where you can go on the map, and it releases this winter. So that's kind of the only info we know about the release date.
Like you touched on it, but it's not just your body shrinks and grows. It's where you shoot your opponent increases or decreases that part of your body. So you're stealing the size of your opponent's head to add it to the size of your head or arm or body.
That's really ingenious. That's really cool.
You want a guy with really tall legs, you better start kneecapping some fools.
There's going to be lots of people shooting people in the crotch.
I don't know how far this goes, but it looks like a cool little indie game.
Yeah, that sounded neat.
I think it appeals to people that like Super Hot.
Okay.
Up next, we've got Arena of Valor. It's a free-to-play MOBA. What is a MOBA? What is a MOBA?
It's usually a 5-on-5 team-based strategy game originated by, like the Warcraft 3 mod Dota, and then becoming Dota, and then becoming League of Legends and Heroes of Newerth and Here's the Storm, and
it stands for Multiplayer Online Battle Arena.
Ah, okay.
So it's like your team versus their team. Everyone's running around the map, killing things.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
As a team.
Huh. Well, that sounds kind of cool.
You yell at each other and you hate each other, so it's more like a family.
Oh, okay. Something that would definitely take advantage of proper voice chat support, The
interesting about this is that it's being made by the parent company of Riot Games is it Korea or is it China? I think it's Korea.
It's a Chinese investment holding company.
Okay, cool. So they're Chinese, and it's looking like a Chinese knockoff of League. But if they own it, if they own League, if they own Riot, then why wouldn't they just try to get Riot to port League? I wonder if they had that conversation where Riot was like, nope, that's not going to happen. And so Tencent's like, well, then we'll do it.
Or it's the fact that League wouldn't be able to run properly or smoothly on the Switch, so then this is going to be like...
totally could.
This could then just be a Switch...
League of Legends is like one of the easiest things to run.
I don't play League, so...
It's like... one of those games that it's got mass appeal because, like Minecraft, anything can run it. You don't have to worry about how good your computer is, for the most part. I mean, obviously the Switch can run something like it because here we are getting Arena of Valor. Comes out this winter, or a beta comes out this winter. It might not come out for another year or two. Maybe it'll be in early access forever. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, if there's a beta this winter, I may check it out.
Speaking of beta tests, I'd like to thank the whole world for beta testing Elder Scrolls V Skyrim for us Switch owners for the past 6 years.
Yes.
You guys have really done us a great favor by working out all the kinks and bugs and giving us the definitive HD remaster of Skyrim because you can take it with you, suckers.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's the exact same version that is out on Xbox One and PS4, but there's currently no mod support.
But wait,
probably won't ever.
There's motion controls.
That's even cooler because motion controls don't take up that much hard drive space, and Switch doesn't really have the hard drive space to worry about mods, especially third party or fan made mods.
Yeah,
it would be bloated, and you'd kill your Switch.
Oh,
brick it.
I've crashed my Xbox,
Skyrim box, and nothing else.
I've crashed my Xbox. I don't know how many times loading mods in the wrong order or just having too many, especially environmental mods. They're some of the worst for just tanking a system.
We're happy to be getting big, huge third-party AAA games, even if they're old. I'm happy to get them.
Oh, absolutely.
Because the portability is so cool, but because it's supportable, because we're dealing with tablet technology, we don't have the ability to get those big storage capacities that kind of the PC world takes for granted. And so, because the Xbox and the PlayStation are big, giant living room boxes, they can fit a big, giant hard drive on literal discs instead of solid state like the Switch is forced to use, even though it's more expensive. It is faster and better solid state, but it's expensive, and so it's not going to be easy for us to get any games that have mods.
That's true. Yeah.
But
I guess the only real mod, if you want to call it that the Switch version of Skyrim has is you can actually get Link's. You can get the Master Sword, the Hyrulean Shield, and I think you can get Link's outfit as well.
Yep.
And it actually opens up in a Legend of Zelda treasure chest with the associated music and everything. So which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So
from the sounds of the direct, though, it seems like you can get all that amiibo stuff in game as well.
Yeah.
Then, speaking of
newer
Bethesda games,
we're getting into the good stuff.
Yeah.
Newer as in as new as it gets, because Wolfenstein 2, the new Colossus, is coming to the Switch. And it's not even out yet.
Yes.
Doom as well. But I wanted to talk about Wolfenstein specifically because that's the first AAA Western third-party game with an M rating, because it has to have that for people to count it in their measuring contests online. You have to have a gun in it. But this hits all the criteria for those people.
Yes.
Everyone complaining about Nintendo being for kids or Nintendo not getting third-party support. This one game, and Doom as well, and hell, Skyrim too. The fact that they've gone all out and they're saying we're putting our full catalog as much as we can on Switch.
Well, don't forget, there's in addition to those two, we're also getting the HD remaster of LA Noire as well, which I'm super stoked
Thank
for.
you to Rockstar for that one too.
Yeah.
I mean, though, it's kind of crazy to think the first real major third-party supporter of the Switch that isn't taking the wait-and-see approach didn't release a single game on the Wii U.
Bethesda made a really good impression in Japan, and the people running Nintendo are fans of Bethesda and Bethesda's opened the door for them to figure out how Western third parties work today. Whereas they had a lot of issues with translations and miscommunications through the 90s and into the N64 era with Western third parties, and things were falling apart. They've been trying to rebuild for decades, it seems, relationships, and now we're starting to see the fruits of that labor with a console that's just powerful enough to get these games.
Yeah.
Just barely. And that's all we needed for them to exist. They don't have to be the best looking versions. No one's expecting that. They can kill my battery in 2 hours. I don't care. I'm playing Doom on my toilet. And it's great.
Yeah. So Doom releases this winter. Wolfenstein releases in 2018. I'm kind of hoping that it releases the same time as on other platforms. That way we don't have to really wait.
I would cross my fingers for it, but I wouldn't get my hopes up.
Wolfenstein 2 comes out in October, I believe, on other platforms.
Okay. Hopefully we don't have another... what was that Ubisoft game that came out on...
Steep?
No, something Dogs.
Well, Watch Dogs.
Watch Dogs, that's it, yeah.
Oh.
Where it was supposed to release on the Wii U, and it took forever, and it was so delayed.
It took like a year.
The fact that there are so many Ubisoft games that Nintendo fans have been feeling that way about. Like, you could have almost mentioned any Ubisoft game for the Wii U that had delays or major issues or whatever. I mean, they tried. They really did, and they tried more than a lot of companies did, but... The Wii U was not going to get brought back to life by anything. So, it comes a point where you stop getting stuff, and now we're starting to see some of that stuff come back. I don't know where Steep is. I was really disappointed I didn't get to see it in that direct, because that was one of the first games they showed off that I was really looking forward to, because I was a huge fan of 1080, and I haven't played a whole lot more snowboarding games outside of some of the Olympic game stuff. This was going to be cool, and now it looks like it may not happen.
Yeah, the series just kind of disappeared.
Yeah, I hope they get on that and figure it out. Maybe in time for the next Winter Olympics, just delay it out and put it out with some branding. I think there was some rumors going around that was happening. Maybe it was going to be an Olympic tie-in game, but we'll see.
Olympic DLC. I believe they revealed that at E3.
Okay, so this is DLC for the existing game that's already out.
So I'd mentioned LA Noire. So not only is there going to be the update, it's the same content as what's going to be on PS4 and Xbox One. So you get all the DLC that released for LA Noire. So I think there was like the fire desk and stuff like that. Any specific or new outfits that you can also get. And then the Switch is going to also feature gyroscopic and gesture-based controls, so your waggle motion controls. HD Rumble, which is going to be really cool because the controller does respond as you're searching for clues and stuff. So I'm actually excited to see how they utilize HD Rumble. There's also a new wide and over-the-shoulder camera angle, so you can get much bigger view, and the Switch version also supports touchscreen controls, so when you're taking it on the go. It's not going to get the 4K resolution that PS4 and Xbox One are getting, but
Shocking.
That's no surprise there. That's okay. And LA Noire drops November 14th, so I got to get my pre-order in.
They missed
pretty quick.
They missed an opportunity to do another partnership with a third party. They really could have had. No, they couldn't have, but they should have had Pauline singing that Mario song in one of those LA Noire clubs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I think would be what would be kind of cool is if they had a Mario outfit in LA Noire, so you could, a specific just for Nintendo. I thought that'd be kind of cool. So, but I'm thinking when I go get my SNES Classic on the 29th, I'm gonna drop a pre-order down for LA Noire.
Moving on, Arcade Archives was a surprise. Another surprise that they showed off. It wasn't something that we thought was ever going to happen. Mostly because I don't know what the demand is like for this kind of stuff. It's virtual console basically, but just for arcade games and just for Nintendo's, arcade machine game versions of things like Ice Climbers, Pinball, Clue-Clan, Balloon Fight, Mario Bros, Punch Out. These are not the NES versions. These are the arcade versions. So actually, in those days, back in the mid to early 80s, these games were better in arcades than they were at home. And the whole point of having a home console was like you would get the watered down ports of the arcade. And so now we're going to get stuff like Punch Out. If you haven't played the original arcade Punch Out, it is a substantial upgrade from the NES version. And it's really fun. It's still the great game that it always was. The first game in this series is September 27th. They're doing Mario Brothers. So the mini game that everyone's played on the Advance series or in the original Super Mario 3.
Wasn't it also an arcade game?
Yeah, well, that's what this whole
like
thing
an
is
actual
about.
No.
Yes,
but like the actual, machine arcade Mario.
Well, yeah,
As
all
opposed
of
to-
these
that's
were-
the entire
were
point of what I've been
machine
talking about.
arcade
These are the
that out, 'cause
arcade
I feel like
versions of everything.
I'm fighting a cold right now, and it's 12:15. Okay, so that's
Fair
my
enough, fair
excuse.
All right.
Yeah, that's...
There's a debate about whether they should be wasting their time with this when we all want virtual console, but I feel like that debate is happening everywhere. We don't need to have it here.
Yeah, we'll get soon though.
Because there's so much more to talk about. Octopath Traveler.
Yes.
Octopath
And we're
freaking
like
Traveler.
50 minutes in.
I've played the demo. I hope you guys have too.
I downloaded it, but I haven't. I'll probably play it after we're finished with recording.
It's a more adult game than I thought it was going to be. I was playing through the Dancer
Really?
Chicks plotline, and obviously, like, it can be triggering. It can be like, oh my god, this is really like a woman being abused by her friggin' pimp, and here's her escape and what's happening and why she's there, and she wants revenge, and there's assassination plots, and that's just the one story. I bet like every of the 8 stories is going to be just as deep and interesting. But it even though it looks like an old 16-bit game you played as a kid, this is a game for people that grew up with those games, rather than sitting your kid down in front of this one.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks really interesting, and I think it's a Switch exclusive too, so, that's some pretty major third-party support.
For now, it's Switch exclusive, but I think it could stay as an exclusive. I think it's going to sell great. They might get a port down the road. The PS4 might get a port down the road, but it's the Sonic Mania of RPGs, JRPGs. It feels like a Super NES game. It looks better. It plays better. Well, maybe not better. It's still a menu-based system, and each system has their own pros and cons. I feel like Chrono Trigger's the definitive version, and everything else is a modification of that. But it's great. I have no the voice acting is cool. It immerses you in the world, even though their world looks so different from a realistic game. There's a character about the atmosphere, and it adds to the whole thing. So great job, Square. Keep it up.
I just have one question. Since you played the demo, you said it's the Sonic Mania of RPGs, but is it also the Dark Souls of RPGs?
No.
Okay.
Simple and to the point. For the love of God, not everything has to be Dark Souls. But it's, I don't know, it's not challenging, because JRPGs are never challenging. All you have to do is level up enough and you can pretty much beat anything in any game. But it's fun. It's a fun story. It's very story based. It's all about the intertwinings as each character interacts with the world in a different way, and their story. I imagine at some point in the final game, these stories are going to converge, and there's be places you revisit as different characters and see different things because you're a different person. Maybe you get different perspectives on characters depending on who you talk to them as. I don't know. I don't know the full scope of this thing, but it's cool so far. So I'm excited for it. ARMS is next. ARMS version 3 came out. Lola Pop, her arms, her stage, the balance changes, and the ability to remap your buttons came out right after the direct ended. I don't have arms. I'm literally holding this microphone with my teeth.
I downloaded the update yesterday, and it's pretty solid. Not as major as the 2.0 update we got with Max Brass, but button remapping is a pretty nice feature to have, and it can make, like, you can remap every single button on the controller. Like even when you're playing with the two with motion controls, you know, the SL and SR buttons?
Yeah. So like you can remap those buttons even if you're not using...
even though they're not even... You can remap every single button on each controller, and it's really nice to have.
Suddenly you've given me like hope for that MOBA game, because man, I think button remapping on that might be essential. But we'll see.
Yeah.
So it's a good feature in a lot of games. I know it's more of a PC thing, but let's go button remapping.
Yeah.
It helps out a lot of people that have a hard time holding controllers due to disabilities or injuries. So one-handed gamers unite. Let's hope for a Senran Kagura for Switch.
There already is one being made, though.
That's fantastic. We'll see that in a future direct, I'm sure.
Well, it was in the Switch reveal trailer.
Right on. I must have missed it.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people miss Kirby. Did you miss Kirby?
How can you miss Kirby? He has like 5 games a year.
It's true.
Yeah.
They really pump out the Kirby games, and for some reason he doesn't get the respect he deserves. You know, he's not part of.
Yeah.
You know, DC Comics has the Trinity: Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and Nintendo's got Mario, Link, Samus. But Kirby's up there. Kirby's the Flash or something. I don't know.
I'd say Kirby's more well known than Samus.
Probably
based off.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing.
I think there's still a lot of people that think that Samus is a guy. I feel like all the people who have never even played a Metro game and have only heard about them probably still don't even know the big twist from the first game.
Giant twist. Kirby Star Allies.
Kirby Star Allies.
Yeah, it's a classic 2D Kirby game with 4-player multiplayer like Return to Dreamland. You bring partners onto your side like Kirby Superstar, and you can even combine your abilities with like the elements your partners have to get combined abilities like Kirby 64, and it seems to kind of be the culmination of all the previous Kirby games and stuff for one big Kirby game.
With one big DDD.
Yes! That buff DDD.
That it got me missing Rockhawk a little bit.
Like, at this point, Hal knows how big of a meme King DDD is, and now they just go all out with him.
That's awesome. So we have one more game to talk about. No, it's not Smash Brothers. It's Super Mario Odyssey. Of course it is. Bowser has kidnapped Peach and Cappy's sister Tiara. There's 4 new kingdoms shown off in the direct: Lake Kingdom, Seaside, Snow, and some kind of jungle tropical one. There's a photo mode, lets you freeze time and get really good screen grabs for your social medias and your memeing.
Yeah.
Online leaderboards for all the different minigames. I'm surprised the memeing started right away with Shirtless Mario. That's now a thing, like old school Jersey Italian Mario. Talkatoo, Hint Toad, and Uncle Amiibo can help you find power moons, and the Amiibos, it looks like, reveal moons on the map. Just a hint system. There's going to be a Super Mario Odyssey Switch bundle. If you don't have a Switch yet, you can get a Switch, 2 red Joy-Cons, carrying case, and Mario Odyssey for $380 US, which will probably be like $700 Canadian. But it comes out October 27th, and it'll be the main holiday hot item, I think, that bundle.
This game just keeps impressing. I mean, what was amazing during the Switch event just keeps getting even more amazing.
Matt, what do you think?
Sorry.
Matt passed out. He's on his own Odyssey.
Oh, no. It's this cold's kicking my...
Hey, buddy.
This cold of mine.
We finished the Kirby Return to Dreamland, and he heard Dreamland, and then he was like...
This is what I get for sending my kid to school. She brings home colds.
Fair enough. I hope you feel better soon, buddy.
I think I might actually grab Super Mario Odyssey. Between the 2 new Super Mario games, Odyssey and Rabbids, I'm more inclined to pick up Odyssey. It seems really interesting. I wish that there was a demo, but
they have a demo. It's called Mario 64 or Galaxy.
I guess, yeah. But
yeah, you say that like you weren't going to get it.
Everybody knows it. You always pick up the main Mario game for your Nintendo system. It's almost like it's a given. So
and the Mario Kart and the Zelda,
exactly.
And
yeah. So yeah, I'll probably pick it up. Maybe not right away. I might wait until the end of the year, but I think I will. It seems interesting. I like the fact that when you go into like a pipe and stuff, it kind of switches to that 2D mode. That 8-bit, that was really neat. So,
and it seems to be really full of content too, because during the Super Mario Odyssey thing, they were showing all the power moons that were in the Sand Kingdom, and there were 69 of them.
Giggity.
Yeah,
that's just over half of the amount of total stars in Mario 64.
Yeah, in one world.
I bet they're going to feel more like Korok seeds.
Yeah, they probably will end up being more like that, but still, I mean, when I got to play the demo during the Nintendo World Championships, had 10 minutes to play and probably got about 3 power moons, maybe? So, even then, probably take
10 every half hour.
Probably going to be some that are significantly harder to find. And of course, just exploring the world. I mean, this seems to be a pretty meaty game. Which,
for sure.
Yeah.
I think, like most Mario games of this style, there's a choice you make. You can be the kind of person that tries to find all the stars or all the moons, or you can try to get the bare minimum amount to get to the next level and beat Bowser with like 60. And this looks like even the minimum to beat the game is going to be well over 100. Maybe even over like 300. Yeah. Like you would need a lot of moons to get Bowser. It's obviously going to be the greatest thing of all time. So there's no denying it. The format is completely fallen asleep. We got one last thing to talk about before we say goodbye. And that's user 0vits had asked what we think of the storage issues of the Switch. We're talking about, controversy or whatever surrounding NBA 2K18 needing a download, even if you buy the cartridge version, and the ongoing issue of the Switch's limited storage space due to the solid state nature of its memory. Whose fault is it? Is it developer's fault? Should we get used to it? So should we get used to the idea of buying a cartridge which just acts more as a key to unlock the download? What do you guys think?
Like when the Switch was announced and how much internal storage, I was actually kind of surprised at how small it was, especially with how large games are getting these days. But the fact that it at least uses an industry standard for its expandable storage, unlike Sony's handhelds, the Vita and the PSP. So, I mean, micro SD cards they're everywhere. The cost is come down quite a bit. I mean, I picked up a 128 gig. I think I paid like 30, maybe $40 for it. When I grabbed it, which is pretty good. SanDisk has just come out with a 400 gig micro SD card, and they're working on ones that are hitting and exceeding a terabyte as well. So, and the nice thing that the Switch, because it uses the SD standard that it's using, when a 2 terabyte or a 1 terabyte micro SD card gets released, if you can afford it, it'll work in the system no problem. So you don't have to worry about that. It's kind of like, on one hand, the fact that you need to be able to do that. I mean, on the Xbox One, when you put a disc into the system, it installs the game onto your console. So you still need the storage, and I think the PS4 is the same way. It's almost as if that's par for the course. It's normal now. It's just kind of like Nintendo is like, all right, yeah, we're going to do the same thing.
Yeah.
So is it crappy? Sure. But with how big games are getting these days, and to keep costs down, because if you had a Switch cartridge that was 64 gigs or 128 gigs, you're going to be paying a lot more for that game than we are now. And Switch games are already expensive. They've already got that $10 premium price attached to it. So
I do want to bring up, though, the fact that specifically NBA 2K18, I mean, it seems like 2K is going really cheap, because they only put 6.1 gigabytes of data on the card. And the download is like 21 gigabytes. I don't really get why. I mean, there's 16 gigabyte cartridges, which would bring down the download tremendously, and it seems like they're just being kind of cheap about it.
The thing with sports games, especially the major sports games we're talking about, the franchise players, there's so much money changing hands in these major blockbuster FIFA and Madden and NBA, that they go all out and they get high-res textures of all the players' faces. And so you've got every single player in the NBA in high-res sitting there on your hard drive, even if, half of them are going to be college teams you're not going to worry about, or people, create a character options, maybe you're not going to worry about those. But the point is that they go overboard, and there's only so much you can do about how big things are.
That's why you optimize things for the Switch.
Like compressing audio and video, getting the file sizes down on some of these textures. That should be a little more high priority for developers.
Yeah,
and that's always the case. It seems like Nintendo has way better memory management than third parties do on all their systems. Like back when we were using blocks to save things on the GameCube and the Wii. You'd be surprised that Nintendo's fitting these giant, huge, like Wind Waker's like 3-block memory save. Obviously the data's on the disc, but then you'd have like downloadable games in the Wii and Wii U that were just so small compared to the third-party versions. And a lot of that is just they don't care. They're going to put it out the way it is.
So, should also bring up the fact that NBA 2K18 has every single save file you do is 5 gigabytes, which is insane.
I mean, it's a lot of data, it's a lot of databases, and obviously things in a game like a sports league game where you got all the complications of managing a sports team and all the number crunching that goes along with the odds of what team wins what game, and
I still don't see how that's supposed to take 5 gigabytes.
No, again, most of it is just laziness. They really could get it smaller. They just don't want to spend the time on it. And the solution is, if you're a fan of these big third-party games that require a lot of memory, start maybe picking up smaller SD cards and putting the whole game on it, on like a 16 gig or a 32 gig cart, and make your own cartridges out of SD.
Honestly,
cards.
I'd actually avoid doing something like that, because if you do something like that where you're buying this, small SD cards, you're going to end up with 1 million SD cards. And then there's not a whole lot of space to write on them. So then you're going to have to keep those SD cards with your game, with the game cartridge. And there's really no place to actually lock a micro SD card into the game case. So then you've got that rattling around. And if you lose it, well, then you're kind of SOL. So your better choice is to purchase the largest micro SD card that you can afford and leave that in your system. Make it, like I've got a 128. I'll eventually upgrade it to a 256 or a 512 or 400 gig once I can, and I'll just clone everything across. I'll use my IT skills and I'll, so I don't have to re-download everything. But then that way, I don't have to worry about constantly swapping stuff around. And if you go the digital route, having small cartridges is going to be even worse, because now even though you've gone digital, if you've got multiple 16 gig micro SD cards, you might as well have just bought the physical game, because you're still swapping a cartridge, just it's even smaller now.
Well, it seems like now we might need both. So instead of getting physical, you just go digital.
That too, yeah. Yes, but in the case of Doom and NBA 2K18, where you're going to be downloading part of the game anyways, might as well just go digital. Now I can kind of understand why they would have the multiplayer as a downloadable portion, because
in Doom
you'd kind of want to keep all of that together, instead of having part of the multiplayer available on the cartridge. Whereas at least this way you've got the complete game, the complete story of the game available to you, and if you want to be able to play it online, well, just go and grab this extra stuff. It's not going to cost you anything extra. It'd just be like a day one patch kind of deal.
I think Bethesda went around the whole single player of Doom on the cart and multiplayer on download pretty smartly, because from what I've heard, the multiplayer in Doom isn't that good, so most people just want the single player.
Beggars can't be choosers here. It's an online first-person shooter on the Switch, so even if it's just the Switch version, I bet multiplayer is going to be pretty popular, because there's no Call of Duty.
Not yet, anyways.
Probably 2018.
Not yet, but I mean, probably for another year at least, there's no Call of Duty. And so we've got Doom, we've got Wolfenstein, and we've got Payday.
Well, that about wraps it up for this episode of Hello Nintendo. I'd like to thank Dan and Brooks for joining me today.
Glad to be here.
Shut up.
Yeah, get over it, Dan. So please join us next time, where we're going to be asking that eternal question.
Is NintenDOOMed?
Brooks, we've already got the answer. Nintendo is doomed. So next time we're going to be discussing the other question that, as everybody's been asking, where's Melee HD? See you next time on Hello Nintendo.
Hello, Nintendo!